Zach Bogosian of the Peterborough Petes, a guy who is also a physical force. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to opt for Doughty. General Manager Dean Lombardi spent us. But what he's got is he's got a level of hockey sense, and all of those aspects make him a very complete defenseman. At the end of the day, though, Pierre, he's still a 6-foot defenseman who now is just a shade over 200 pounds after about nutrition and working out for the very first time in his life.
I love this pick. I think it's great. When you think about Thomas Hickey, who's a good puck mover and a bit undersized, you look at Jack Johnson, who's mobile and a good puck mover. Nicholas Kronwall and Brad Stewart and Brian Rafalski and Nick Litcham. LA's starting to build a core very similar.
Significant amount of time at the homes of both Doughty in London, Ontario, and Zach Bogosian from Messina, New York. So you
positive move for Atlanta because he brings character, leadership.
Specimen. And when this guy was at the NHL Central Scouting Combine a few weeks ago, he absolutely blew everyone away in all the physical testing. The bench press, the wind gate, the VO2, you name it. This guy was an absolute stud when it came to that. He trains with Lauren Goldenberg, the Ottawa personal trainer, who was the personal trainer who really created Gary Robertson, who's got all sorts. We talked about Drew Doughty. You can't measure his hockey sense. It's so great. You can't measure the physical competitiveness of a guy like
University football team.
With the man of the hour, Steven Stamkos. Steven, because you've been able to prepare for this moment and you knew that it was happening, you were going to be selected first overall, what have these last 48 hours been like for you?
A sale. There is Steven Stamkos sitting there with his folks and about 50 other people he's got here from all walks of his life to take this in. But now the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have papered their community with Seen Stamkos bumper stickers, get a
Check-out-aholic. Bobby brings the whole package to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, he really does. It is a complete package. And if you're looking for some form of a comparison, a comparable, we're not saying that he's going to be the next Steve Yzerman. We're saying that he plays a complete game. Instant impact, I believe he will. Because Pat Kane made an instant impact last year. Sam Gagner made an instant impact. This guy is bigger, stronger, faster than those guys, but he has the same level of unique offensive skills, goal scoring of Kane, and the playmaking of Sam Gagner.
This guy's the real deal. Tampa Bay, buckle up. Where's Sidney Lecavalier being around Marty St. Louis?
Vincent Lecavalier devant lui. Moins de pression. Tu te rappelles lorsque Vincent est arrivé à tel part?
Chicone lui a vraiment aidé.
Oui. Alors lui, ce jeune homme-là va arriver. Il y a Vincent Lecavalier devant lui. Martin Saint-Louis est là. Prospal qui va rejoindre à nouveau le Lightning de Tampa Bay. Il aura entièrement le temps de...
Coach, it's a professional coach. Totally different deal.
And it's a new NHL where huge offensive impact. He will do the same thing. Of that, there is no doubt.
We mentioned, played 7 years in the National Hockey League, former draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers, Len Barry and Oren Cool. Well, if he's anything like his dad, he's going to have a very good career in the NHL, and he's going to play for Hartford twice, Calgary twice, and I think the Rangers might have been twice as well.
But he's not going to play for the Canadian Olympic team.
Because, no, he already played for Team USA.
Because he is what they call, what he likes to call himself, a Winnipeg American.
That's right.
Colin Wilson was born in Connecticut when his dad was a member of the New York Rangers, but well before out in Combine, as you see him peel off the shirt, this guy's ripped. He's jacked. He's a man. He's a man amongst boys at from the NHL scouts when all the physical testing was being done.
And for Nashville, this pick makes sense. They needed to get bigger. They need Hodgson either. But at the end of the day, this is a smart pick. Paul University. Paul Fenton sees tons of games.
Steven Stamkos, that the next 4 best guys available are defensemen. Now, we had Luke Schenn at number 6. We had Filatov at 5. But in terms of the Russian factor potentially being there and pushing him down a little bit.
We should point out that when Luke Schenn was 16 years old, he joined the Kelowna Rockets when his midget season ended, and they went to the Memorial Cup that year. And you know what?
You know what? We traveled all over Russia last summer in the Super Series court. Luke Schenn was just so great around that whole thing.
His younger brother, who is likely to be a top 5 pick next year.
His limitations. He knows that he's a defense-first guy, and he doesn't try to do too much with the puck. But what he does do with the puck is highly efficient. He makes the first pass. This guy did not have a single point in the World Junior Championship and was arguably one of the very best players on the ice from start to finish in that tournament. He led Canada at the World Junior. This is a guy who knows his job and knows how to do it. And you're right. He's physically punishing, a shutdown defenseman, mean and nasty.
Now, it's interesting. Yesterday, he was going to meet with the Phoenix Coyotes. Tell us about his interview with Wayne Gretzky and company.
Well, first off, Luke Schenn brought a bunch of friends, brought his brother, brought someone they were picking. But Wayne Gretzky said to him, hey, listen, do me one favor, especially if you're drafted in the West.
The Brampton Battalion is keeping an eye on things. He's certain to go the next few picks. Hey, Mike Babcock, the coach of the Red Wings, tampering down there with him. Detroit doesn't pick until number 30. They're not getting him.
We should also throw, as we start mentioning some of these
9th in our TSN draft ranking. And he will go number 10 overall to the Vancouver Canucks. And they get a player who is...
He doesn't have that explosive speed and that he's going to need to work on it. Steven Stamkos has it. Cody Hodgson does not. But he scored 40 goals for the Brampton Battalion this season. He had 5 goals in 5 playoff games. He outplayed Steven Stamkos for Team Canada last summer at the Ivan Holinka Under-18 tournament in Europe. Hockey Canada in April named him the captain of their Under-18 team, and they couldn't best. Every coach that's ever had this guy says he's nothing but leadership, competitiveness, that he's got that Chris Drury quality, big games, clutch.
His OHL coach, Pete DeBoer, who's now the head coach in Florida, that he will be the one.
Nice. This guy's got world-class speed. He's really going to complement Kyle Turris, Peter Mueller, Martin Hansel. Don't forget Brett McLean of the Oshawa Generals coming along.
Said he really transformed himself into scoring more ugly goals, going to the net more, and really rounding out his entire game. This is a guy who plays much better. He wins a lot of battles along the boards and in the heavy traffic areas because he has a low center of gravity, and he does have the great wheels and the explosive speed coming out of scrums. Gord points out he is the highest ever. This one comes as no surprise to me because, as I said, Donnie Maloney, Spagner. They're going to have some other good young players on that. Roman Polak is another guy who conceivably could be there. So there's Alex, the guy they call Petro, and you're right, Pierre. This is a guy whose playoff was ended.
Right, picks in this draft has equaled its selection total from the entire first round last year.
This is when the fun starts, though, boys, because now the New York Islanders are on the clock. And are they going to trade like David Perron? This is a phenomenal young team.
Well, it really is. And if the name sounds familiar, it's because he is related. His father's a cousin of Frank Pietrangelo, who used to play goal in the National Hockey League. Came off a tremendous playoff until he had that lacerated spleen. He had 5 goals in his last 6 playoff games. If you're looking for a comparable for him, he's a passing defenseman.
Yes.
So some people would say it's a Sergei Zubov type of player. He's also got Larry Robinson type qualities in terms of the way he rushes the puck. He's still got to physically mature. He's got a lot of work to do on the defensive side of his game. But I know there are several teams in this league who have him rated as the #2 prospect in this draft because they feel he's got the most unfulfilled and most untapped offensive potential, and that he's got a chance to be an absolute home run. And he's also got some physical capacity. It's not like he's... Think Chris Pronger without the edge, without the nastiness.
Well, I know he skates a little bit like Chris Pronger. He might shoot the puck a little better than Chris Pronger at the same age. I coached Chris Pronger at this age. But Pietrangelo, I should say.
His father is a very wealthy oil and gas executive in Alberta.
Former CFL player, Gord?
I believe so, yeah. And Joe Colburn out of junior.
Well as Joe Thornton, hey, would have been the first overall pick in the draft if he did. But he's very similar in stature. He's very similar in terms of his playmaking abilities, and he's very similar in terms of a lot of those things and mannerisms on and off the ice. He's a very rangy guy. The question mark on him is that he's a great playmaker, but can he play a hard game? Can he play that and do that in traffic, and can he do it at the next level?
And Bruce, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why he's going to the University of Denver. He is a project. He is far from a finished project. And all those comparisons to Joe Thornton, I'm not buying it. The only thing similar between him and Joe Thornton, the size factor.